Hi, this is Aditya from Just Tutors, and in this video we are going to learn about respiration in organisms. Today we'll be covering 6 topics. The first one is respiration. We'll see why do we respire. We'll also learn about the process of breathing and the reason that we breathe. We'll also learn about what do we breathe out, and at the end we'll talk about the breathing in different animals. So let's start with respiration. Now in physiology, the movement of oxygen from outside air to the cells within the tissues and the transport of carbon dioxide in the opposite direction is called respiration. Although physiologic respiration is necessary to sustain cellular respiration and thus life in animals. You can see a very small glimpse of respiratory system in humans. This is the point of intake, these are the lungs, and that is the point of exhalation as well. Now if we talk about cellular respiration, that is an individual cell of an organism. But when we talk about physiologic respiration, it concerns the bulk flow and transport of metabolics between the organism and the external environment. Now breathing is a part of physiologic respiration. Thus in precise, the words breathing and ventilation are hyponyms, not synonyms, of respiration. But this prescription is not consistently followed even by most healthcare providers, because the term respiratory rate is a well-established term in healthcare. Now let's see, why do we respire? The obvious answer would be to carry out respiration is the need of the animals to produce energy. They don't use this energy to move. On the contrary, they make sure that everything is running properly and balanced. If a fish stops respiring, it wouldn't get the necessary amount of oxygen needed for respiration, and after a little bit it will be unable to carry out the life processes such as digestion or circulation or anything really. If you didn't have oxygen in your cells, you wouldn't be able to use it to produce energy. After a few minutes, the cell in your body won't be able to do anything because there is no energy for them to use. So it's very important for us to respire. Now let's talk about breathing. Now, as discussed before, breathing is one part of physiological respiration required to sustain life. It is only one of the processes that delivers oxygen to where it is needed in the body and remove carbon dioxide. For organisms with lungs, breathing is also called ventilation, which includes both inhalation and exhalation. We'll talk about these as we move ahead in the session. You can see the mechanics of breathing in this image right here. Now breathing in is called inspiration or inhalation. The other name of breathing out is called expiration or exhalation. You can see the movement of the chest when we breathe in as it expands, and when we breathe out as it contracts. You can see a physiological structure of our lungs right here. When you breathe in or inhale, your diaphragm contracts. The diaphragm is this part right here at the bottom of the lungs. So it contracts and moves downward. This increases the space in your chest cavity into which your lungs expand. Now this is the reason your chest expands when you inhale. Now the air travels down your windpipe and into your lungs after passing through your bronchial tubes. You can find them right here. the air finally reaches and enters the alveoli. Through the very thin walls of the alveoli, oxygen from the air passes to the surrounding capillaries. Here you can see the alveoli. We have got millions of alveoli inside our lungs. Now, hemoglobin helps to move oxygen from the air sacs to the blood. And at the same time, the carbon dioxide moves from the capillaries into the air sacs. Now, the pulmonary vein is responsible for carrying the oxygen-rich blood from the lungs through a network of capillaries. This vein delivers oxygen-rich blood to the left side of the heart. The left side of the heart pumps the blood to the rest of the body. Thus, the oxygen in the blood moves from blood vessels into surrounding tissues. Now, the process of breathing out requires no effort from your body unless you have a lung disease or are doing physical activity. When you are physically active, your abdominal muscles contract and push your diaphragm against your lungs, even more than usual. This rapidly pushes air out of your lungs. So, the chest contracts when we breathe out or exhale. Now let's talk about what do we actually breathe out. The carbon we breathe out as carbon dioxide comes from the carbon in the food we eat. The carbohydrates, fat, and proteins we consume and digest are eventually converted by a number of different biochemical pathways in the body to glucose. The glucose molecule combines with oxygen in the cells in a chemical reaction called cellular oxidation. This is the formula for glucose. Talking about breathing in animals, it's a physical action of taking air into the system and releasing gaseous waste.